Okay, we are live. What's going on, good and blessed and beautiful people? This is your boy KDO, back with the Reconstruction Project, and I'm joined today by my guest and co-host, Ghost and BG Method. Say hey, everybody.
Hey,
What's up?
All right. So, um, yeah. So we got a pretty interesting topic tonight. I don't know if you guys realize this, but like a couple days ago, I did a video saying why I didn't like Kevin Samuels, and
I think I saw it, but I didn't see it. I think I saw it pop up though.
right. Well, let me say this. I don't personally know Kevin Samuels, but when I say I don't like, what I was intending to mean was, I don't like what he's doing, basically. Um, you know, I said what I said on my video. I'm not going to apologize about it. I got a lot of, Ghost knows this. People are coming through my comment section, and he got some defenders out there, man. He got some defenders. They hard and they heavy.
Well, let me ask you a question. I mean,
Go
it's
ahead.
just this is me asking because I haven't listened to him in a while, to be honest with you. Not lately, so I don't know if he changed any of his views or whatever. But when we talk about anybody talking about anything, or anybody that's putting a viewpoint out there, I get I get a little ticked off at people. This is part of the reason I keep some of my things to myself. I get ticked off at people because why you got to be 100% on board or 100% off? I
Right.
don't think you need to be 100% anywhere. Some things you're going to agree with, some things you're not. My life and my perspective is different than yours. So some things I see from a perspective like, yo, yeah, I can hear that. I feel that. And then some things like, nah, that don't make sense to me. So, but that doesn't mean just because I don't agree with one thing that I don't, that I'm just saying. It's just like, here go something just totally off subject of what we're going to get onto. It's like the Nas versus Jay-Z thing. Okay. So if you think one thing doesn't mean you think the other guy's trash. It just means you just think one guy's better than the other. That's it. That's all. That doesn't you might be 1 and 2 in your book. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that you think the other person is not good at all at anything. So, I don't know, man. I just, just because you said I didn't listen to it yet, but just
Mm-hmm.
because you said you didn't agree with some things, people get all in their feelings and be like, oh, you hating on Kevin Samuels because he got blah blah blah. Nah, I just don't agree with this.
hey.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's it.
Right. And the thing about it is that most people aren't unbiased. Most people can't say like all three of us in on this panel know each other personally. And there's a lot of things that we agree with. There's some things that we're like, nah, I probably would have dealt with that a little differently. Right? Doesn't mean that when you say something that's wrong, I'm not going to agree with, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you when you say something right, and I'm not going to agree with you. That doesn't mean that. But when I think there's some things that I think that people just get into their emotions about, and it's not about what a person is saying or a person's action. It's about how they personally feel about that person. It's because if you care about a person, a lot of people when they care about a person, they put these blinders on as though this person can't do anything wrong, or when they've made this person their de facto avatar, right?
Yeah.
To because a lot of people do that. Remember, BG Method, we said something about that one time before. Is that people like to vicariously live through you or want to speak through you or whatever. So when they feel like, okay, when you're coming down on somebody else, they feel like you're coming down on them, or you're critiquing somebody else. They feel like you're critiquing them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of people don't know how to just say, oh, well, he's just critiquing this particular action that this person took, right? So, um, just to touch on the video a bit, I didn't like how he came down. He popped in this panel, right? He popped onto this panel, challenged this young cat's viewpoint about something.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even just a challenge. It was a, you're wrong, and let me tell you why you're wrong. And it was a very condescending way that he talked to the young brother. I mean, the cat's like 23, 24 years old. You know what I'm saying? And he talked to the man in a very condescending way, almost like I'm 50 something years old. And he threw his credentials out there, like I've been doing this for this long. You know, said what he said, and didn't even give the young brother a chance to respond. He just jumped off the panel, and I found that was very trashy.
Nah, that was. I mean, but look, man, we got. Yeah, I mean, I feel you on that. He does come off that way sometimes. I mean, whether you're talking to males or females, he'll try to tell. He won't say it. He'll say things in such a matter of fact way, in such a way like there's no way you're right. Yeah. Now I agree with you on that because I'm like that myself as far as like if me and you have conversive opinions on something, and we both put our what we how we feel about it out there. You're gonna probably really alienate me in the conversation if you can't respect my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna try to respect yours best I can. I'm not just gonna say, flat out, you wrong unless I got facts behind that. Like, okay, if I was there when something happened and you try to tell me it happened different, I'm like, nah, yo, you wrong. I was there. So that's one thing. But if we just talk about points of view and opinion, even though we both have facts backing, our opinion, our points of view, then I just got to try to respect yours because I want you to respect mine. Treat people how you want to be treated. So, but when I'm talking to a person and they start to disrespect my point of view, yeah, I'm gonna start to amp up. You know what I mean? I think that's most people. They want their point of view at least respected. You don't have to agree with it, but at least expect it. I respect it, I should say. And he does that sometimes where he come off like, I don't respect nothing you saying. This is what I'm saying, and that's right, period.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. And then, I think a lot of guys, like I said, a lot of things that he says to women, I'm not saying he's incorrect on. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I've seen him handle some women. I'm like, you're just trying to handle them, right? It's not a matter of, how do I say this? It's not even a matter of the women just being contrary. They're just stating what they got going on. And it's like, it's a hammer, right? And I've seen it's some sisters that came on his show, because I don't really watch the show no more, but there's some sisters that came on there, man, and they've been absolutely straight delusional. Like they living in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or something like that.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But it's been some sisters that came up there that just, they was just being straightforward and legitimate, right? And he handled each last one of those women, every one of those women the same. Like there was no variance in it. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say today's subject not about Kevin Samuels, right?
No, it's not about Kevin Samuels.
No,
I mean,
I was just making sure before I say what I was gonna say, because if it's about Kevin Samuels, I can hold on to it and it'll come out later. But if it's not, I just want to say it. And here's the thing: one thing about Kevin Samuels that I don't like. I don't think he offers solutions. And that's part of the reason I believe at the beginning. That's probably why I don't listen to him anymore. Because at the beginning, when I first heard him, I'm like, yo, he's saying some things need to be said that some of these brothers probably scared to say or haven't been able to say. And that's cool. That was needed, right? But then you keep listening, and whether a woman coming there, she a train wreck or not, he never offers any. He basically tell a woman that's 35 years old and she got 2 kids. You know what I'm saying? He basically tells her she ain't got no chance.
Yeah, like life is over.
Yeah, it's just over. It sucks to be you. That's what he says. And, I'm like, hold up, man, hold up. I get where you coming from in a certain sense when they got lofty standards is way above what they should be looking at. But you gotta offer them. I get where you coming from in a certain sense when they got lofty standards is way above what. Hey, I got an echo, huh?
That's me. My bad.
Somebody's on the somebody's on YouTube.
I was trying to copy it.
Somebody, we know who the somebody was, though. Huh?
They're gonna rename. They're gonna remain nameless. But you're correct. And I seen that, and I'm like, man. First of all, that's not even true because we live in America. Just it's not like we live in these countries that a child will eliminate you from being married as a woman. It just doesn't. Now, you may not be able to get that top tier guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But
There's some
you
people
know,
out there for you.
there's some people out there for you in America because in the black community, it's a normal thing. It's not taboo for a man to marry a woman with children. That's not a
Yeah.
taboo issue.
And there's
So
some
it's like,
dudes, they prefer it. Believe it or
right,
not, there's some dudes like, I'm glad you got, I don't want to have no kids.
right,
I'm glad you already got some.
right.
You know, just
So
like it's the other way around. It's just, I think Kevin, look, it was such a daggone rocket ship he jumped on. He jumped in that lane, shot off into the stratosphere, and it didn't. It kept going up, and he got a little full of himself, man. I don't
right,
think he probably didn't mean to, but something's gonna have to bring him down a little bit, just a little bit, so he can remember. Look, man, you said some things needed to be said, but you got to give some solutions. You can't just be out here bashing these women and bashing the dudes who don't know no better and stuff. Bashing the young dudes and up there telling them they don't know what they talking about, no matter what, you know. So you got to offer solutions.
Now,
I agree.
right, yeah, right. You know what I'm
It's
saying,
all
and
about
that's
your,
all I was saying, pretty much the other.
it's
Go
all
ahead,
about
go
your
ahead, Coach.
delivery. You can say a whole bunch of things to people, but like the way you deliver your message and stuff is gonna make or break you. Like change is a bitter pill for a lot of people to swallow and stuff. So if you coat it and it don't taste good, it ain't gonna get delivered. It's not gonna take root. But like you got how your delivery of things and stuff, and him with all this experience and image consultantry and all that stuff that he does, that's well and good and stuff. But that's looking a certain way. That doesn't necessarily mean being and carrying yourself that way. And you might look the part, but not be the part. You know, and I think that comes with experience. And just like you said, method. Like I watch the videos too sometimes. It's like I was like, man, he is really going in on this lady, and like a lot of I don't think it's staged. But some of the stuff I'm like, man, this woman has to know this. That like
Yeah.
this is what it is. I'm like, why would you out
Why
there
would you?
like that?
Why would you call in knowing what's gonna happen to
Yeah,
you?
like
Right, why,
it's not
why,
it's
why
nothing
would you
new.
subject yourself? But the,
Yeah.
but the thing about it is, and that's what we're gonna get into today. That's what we're gonna get into today. It's not really, it's not about. It's about something that Kevin Samuel said. Like when he said to the young brother, he was talking about our image has been destroyed, right? And I agree to a certain extent. I agree. But I guess the bigger question is who profits off our destroyed image? Because what we're talking about when it comes to Kevin Samuels, those women call into that show. They got low self esteem, man. A lot of those women have low self esteem. You have to call into a show and subject yourself to something like that. Like you gonna like you got a lot of like you know evidence that to know how he's gonna respond to you when you
Yeah.
call into the show,
Because
right?
ain't but like one video that he didn't say and had a woman call in, like it didn't go like the cookie cutter outline. It always goes. It's like we was talking about the other day. He was like talking to Nicki Minaj, and even Nicki Minaj, he called her a seven. I'm like,
No,
damn,
they didn't. She called herself for
that's
seven.
right, she did.
That's why I say he was capping. When I seen that, man, I'm like, you capping. All right. Nicki Minaj, she's not an ugly chick. All right. But to get a 9 and a 10, man, you got to be exceptional.
You gotta be
And
perfect.
she's made up like a lot. A lot of the stuff about her is just it's synthetic.
Yeah,
Right. You know what I'm saying? And you can't get 9 and 10 if that stuff is add-on. You get what I'm saying? Like you didn't come from the factory like that, baby girl. And it's like you could just feel it in the spirit. Like this dude was just basically capping. Like he wasn't going because Nikki had the power to basically end the Kevin Samuels campaign right there on the spot.
Well, both of them. Well, it ain't just him. It wasn't just him. That was a whole. Now I didn't listen to it, but I have to. I have to for a couple of reasons. My own
it did seem authentic.
children hit me up about it, and I told them both. because they was talking about he didn't give her a 7 and she was being nice. I like, look, Nikki is on the outside looking in as far as being one of the best acts out there, you know. And she's been replaced. Her time pretty much has been up. She's still not saying she still can't be a star, but she's not the star like she was. She wants back on that stage. She wants back on that big stage. So she need to play nice. And then on his part, she still got enough fans, like you said, that it's going to affect him if he insult her. If he insult her and her little, what do you call Minaj's fans? I can't remember.
The barbs.
Yeah, the barbs get ticked off. You know what I'm saying? It's going to hurt him. So they both playing nice.
The crazy thing about it is that I like, and that was one of the, I'm going to get off Kevin in a second, but one of the things that I found that just really disturbs me is I found Kevin Samuels to be like, he's a hodgepodge of other people, right? He's taking a lot from other people that I personally know. Like, I know these guys, right? I know, I listen to them when they talk. It's just like, I know when I hear a Farrakhan disciple. You know what I'm saying, Brian? You know when you hear NOI, or you know, like, I was listening to an interview that Farrakhan did. I think he did with Sway in the Morning. And he was talking about, Malcolm. And he was talking about when him and Malcolm fell out, right? And if you go back and you listen to Malcolm X's speeches, his cadence, the way he delivers everything, when you listen to Farrakhan talk, he sounds a lot like Malcolm.
Oh, he took a lot from him.
He took a lot from Malcolm, right? What's the other guy that came after Farrakhan? What's his name? He ended up passing away. What's his name? Khalid Muhammad? Is that his name? Well, anyway. Farrakhan had, huh? Say what?
I said, I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay. But you can just tell they come from that school of thought. They sound alike. And so when I hear Kevin Samuels say certain things, I'm like, I know where it came from. Like, I know dudes in the manosphere. I know him in his space. Like, he took a lot of talking points from this cat named Angry Man. A lot of Angry Man's talking points.
It's a black Latino dude he took a lot of stuff from too, and I can't remember his name.
That's Angry Man?
I don't think it's Angry Man. It's a dude that got his name. He uses his name. Can't remember.
I know what you're talking about.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, don't get me wrong. All of them. There's some things that need to be said. And like Go said, some of it's delivery. It was needed. It needed to be said, but come on, man. You ain't gotta. First of all, when people call you, like you said, they probably got some self-esteem issues. They feel bad about some things, or they're disillusioned about some things.
Right.
Well, if the way you come off, is whether they're gonna try to fix themselves or they're gonna be defiant. I would bet a lot of these women, especially over the last 6 to 7 months, are defiant. Because he didn't give them anything, to really work with. He just insulted them.
Right.
And he did it in such a way. Don't get me wrong. Like, again, I know some brothers out there wish they could have said it to the women themselves. You know what I mean? But if you ain't, what he gotta with. If you ain't man enough or the kind of person that'll come off and say those things, in the moment, then that's your problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not Kevin Samuels or anybody else, any other talking head. They can't do it for you. They can do it for you to say, hey, look, this is okay to say. But in the end, it's when you facing that woman or that other person, whatever, that you got to do it. You got to do it for you.
Right.
So, but anyway, let's move on. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on with the conversation. All right. So, I do agree. On the topic of the night is who profits off our lack of self-worth, right? Who prospers, because we're not prospering as black people, black men and black women. We're not prospering very well, right? But what do they say? What's the current like stat about us. We like a $1.3 trillion. We have $1.3 trillion of spending power in the black community, but none of that money is flowing throughout the black community. It's not making the black community wealthy. So it seems to me that if we're spending $1.3 trillion and it's not coming in the community, right? Somebody is prospering off our spending power. So who prospers off our lack of perceived self-worth? Take for instance, I'm gonna throw this one out here. And this is the question. Black women have been regularly told, or I'm sorry, there has been policies put in place by the dominant society that has affect the self-worth of black women. From their hair being told that if it's not in its natural state, that is ugly. It's bad hair, right? From black women being more curvier and more thicker, we've been told that that's not healthy, right? But at the same time, we have beauty salons that set up in the African American, not beauty salons, but hair shops set up in the African American community that are not owned by black women, right? It seems to me, do you think that was deliberate, BG Method? Maybe I asked the question kind of jacked up, but do you think that was deliberate to be done?
What's when you say deliberate? What are you asking? I'm sorry. I'm not following what you're asking me.
No, okay, that was my bad. The question that I'm asking is, who is prospering off black women being told that their natural hair, their natural body is ugly? Who's prospering off that? That's the question I'm asking.
I mean, look, man, a simple and easy answer for all of that is everybody who ain't black. I mean, okay, so for instance, just to expand, we having a conversation. So that's my simple answer, but to expand on it, you have people say that traditionally some women that we find in the black community, we find to be beautiful, we find to be attractive, they call them fat. All right. And we say, hey, it's just a healthy woman. It's a thick woman, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, she got bigger hips and thighs and stuff, but it looks good to us. So for years and years, fashion and all that stuff and modeling and what's put on the front of magazines and what's shown on the red carpet are people who don't look like that. But in all honesty, nobody believes that's beautiful. I mean, not saying nobody believes it's beautiful. Nobody believes it's more beautiful than what we actually believe is beautiful. The reason why you do know that, one, most women don't, they look more like something different than that. That's number one, and they still getting married and having kids and all that stuff. But more than that is that when they go get their surgeries, what do they go get? What do they go try to look like?
Look like black women?
They try to look like black women. I mean, everything, when you really look at it, just black people in general, you know what I mean? So you got bodybuilders and such, they go tan their bodies. Why? Because they look better, more muscular, healthier when they have tone to their skin, when they have some color. You know what I mean? You have the white people who've been laying out tanning and giving themselves skin cancer forever.
Yeah.
So, they've been doing that, and then they go get breasts, they go get butts, you know what I'm saying? They plump up their lips. Everything they do is to mimic people of color and mostly people that descend from Africa. That's mostly what they try to do. Even you can go back to the 70s, and 80s and stuff, where they were getting perms because their hair was just stringy and hang straight down most of the time, unless there's something else mixed in there. But most of the time it's just hang down. Well, they were trying to get some volume to their hair. Who has volume naturally?
Black people.
Black people. So everybody else profits because they put you down because you got it naturally, and then they go sell it to everybody else that they need to get it,
Yeah.
right? And then we haven't, and in some ways you gotta say this, we don't capitalize on it. Look, there's black people in the 60s and 50s that had businesses, and you know what they did to get those businesses or get them running and sell to white people? They had a white representative.
Mm-hmm.
They always thought that the white person owned the business, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times it might be that black dude that's sitting over there that's acting like he's just helping. He
Mm-hmm.
might actually be the owner. There's a lot of black people did that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Not enough, obviously, but what I'm saying is, if you do that or you need to do that to sell a product, do it. Who cares whose face is up there on the outside? If you're making generational wealth, you know what I mean? But that's the other part. We do stupid things with our money. You know, this conversation go to a lot of different places. Like I said, I gave you the simple answer,
Right.
but when we go to the more extensive answer, we got all that money. Like you said, all that money comes out of community. They didn't want Black Panther to happen,
Mm-mm.
right? And it's not because the movie's great and all that good stuff. It's not even about the content of the movie. What it's about is that you have to make movies that we want to see, that put us in positive lights. It's not like a slave movie or something talking about the heartache of black people and black misery, but something that's talking about something that we can celebrate because we'll support it, and that's more than enough. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther proved. It's more than enough because we have that kind of money in our community. So now you have to have, everybody gonna, look, all the other companies want to have their black superhero or they black this or they black that they got to push out there because they like, hey, there's money out there to be had. Well, we got all that spending power. We've always had it, but we're the silly people who don't support things that we make. So high fashion. When I was coming up, all the Tommy Hilfiger and all that stuff, the cot shirts, all that stuff, was big, right? Everybody wanted that stuff. Now it's expensive. It was expensive to get, but we was finding our ways to getting it. So you get one particular fashion person, being Carl Kanai, come out. His stuff is expensive, but it's the one that's made by black people, by a black person, right? And we don't support it good. We supported it some, but the first thing you hear about out of black person mouth, man, that Carl Kanai too daggone expensive.
They'll go out here and get Hilfiger and all
Nigga,
that.
you got a Hilfiger shirt on right now. And that's how I feel about that. I said it that way because I meant it that way. Nigga, you got on a Hilfiger shirt. Nigga, I saw you buying polo. Because that's a nigga attitude. You see a black person doing something, the nigga attitude is you gonna go and buy the white people stuff and then point at the black people stuff and say that it's too expensive. Sit down. So those are some of the reasons that our self-esteem, that's a self-esteem problem.
Right.
That's a self-worth problem.
Well, it's a programming problem too.
And just like what you said last time we was talking about, hey, the white man's water is cold. Ice is cold or whatever. That all that ties in together.
Yeah. Man, all of it goes together to basically to produce the results that we're seeing, within the community, to where, just like what you were saying, you start a business and you and this white man can have the same business, but they will go patronize the white person but won't come patronize you because somehow they believe that your product is inferior. It's when somebody has made you feel inferior, the truth be told, it's because they feel like you are superior. And we're not wise enough to see that in order for you to be preyed upon, you first got to have your daggone self-esteem and self-value broken or taken away from you. You can't value self. Going back what you were saying a minute ago about Black Panther, I wanted to say something about that because that's the first movie. I mean, they made the Blade, but Blade wasn't an all-black cast. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't about a black civilization being shown in a certain light. But every movie that had, mostly black, a black cast in it was set within time of slavery or about our oppression. You know what I'm saying? But I found it kind of funny that they would do all these period pieces of Egypt, and even Egypt was whitewashed, right? They would do these period pieces about the Bible, but the Bible was whitewashed. Do you really realize, like, all the kingdoms in Africa that was existing, that was prosperous, that they would never do a movie about? They would never put it out there because it would show black people in such a positive light. You would see black men and black women, walking in regalness. And I think that's something that, I'm just going to say this. I don't like the fact that you call every black woman and a black man a king or a queen, because they not. Some dudes are trash. You know what I'm saying? Some chicks are trash. You know what I'm saying? But I get why we started doing that. I guess it was an esteeming perspective. But for me, when I think about who preys on and who wins, just like what you said, on BG Method, everybody wins but us. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, we kind of know that, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: it's what you do about it. What do we do about it? How do we change it? It is a slow. Look, it took them a long time to get us to where we got to. Mm-hmm. It took a long time. You didn't break us immediately. You know mm-hmm. what I mean? But it's also how black people look at each other. Okay, so how do we look at each other? How do we see each other? Again, it shows in what things we do. Like I said, the Carl Kanai reference. Mm-hmm. Carl Kanai was like, man, look, I wanted a pair of Carl Kanai jeans to go with a Carl Kanai sweatshirt that I had. You know what I'm saying? So bad, and they cost so much money. But I never said, man, it's too expensive. I just knew I couldn't afford it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I didn't say anything, but I didn't turn around, like I said again, and go and buy no Jabos. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm gonna go buy some Jabos. It's only $15 less. No, I couldn't afford them either. Right. So you know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's just what it is. But I'm just saying, like, we have to, like you said about the king and queen thing. Look, in my mind, in my idea, the way I see it, it's not just every black man and every black woman. It's every man, every woman. Every man should be thinking, I am a king and I'm looking for my queen. Because my kingdom is my home. That's my kingdom. Now, you know what I'm saying? I might be able to spread out and make my kingdom bigger and expand upon that, but that's my kingdom, right? So every man should think of themselves as a king. Every black man needs to hear it. And sometimes we trying to plus it up, so we saying it. You know what I'm saying? We saying it. But you gotta understand, you gotta step in the shoes of a king and act like one. If you're not acting like one, of course, then that's not king material. You know what I'm saying? That's not activity.
But I was even say what you're saying about that we talking about solutions. The first solution is to me, the solution is the family. It's the family. And I think that's why it's such an important fight.
The family is a solution, but here's the thing, it is. I don't disagree with you when I'm saying I don't want anybody to take it as if I'm disagreeing with you, because I'm really not. But because it's easy for me to say that and feel that way, because I'm at that point. I have my own family, right? But before we get to that, men and women, black men, you got to deal with yourself. And that's where I say the solution is the family, but when you come towards where you're going to start a family, you got to be ready. You got to be a fully formed man or woman. I'll take my own sons and I tell them straight up and down, you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of nobody else. Right. So deal with you first. Before you get to that family business, deal with you first. Get all your kinks out, as many of them as you can. You're not going to be perfect, but you got to be a fully formed man. And some of us 25, some of us even 35 years old out here, we ain't fully formed men yet. You know what I'm saying? So then you jump into a family. Well, the problems that you bring into that family, you have in that family, you can't fix them because you already messed up. So
But
try
that's
so when we start saying, "Hey, fix the family," sometimes the man or the woman that's in that family is so messed up from jump, they can't begin to fix that family. They're trying to fix the family. They haven't fixed themselves, so they don't see why they keep on failing at fixing the family.
I think we're coming at this from two different angles. You're talking about, okay. Let me say this: when I'm talking about fixing the family, I'm not talking. We didn't get into this situation overnight. It took generations for us to get into this situation. Where we go wrong is we thinking that we're going to fix this situation now. It's not going to happen now. You have to play the long game. So when I'm saying fix the family, I'm saying yes. It starts with men like yourself and myself who are raising sons and daughters to be productive black men and black women within a society. It's raising sons to know, like what you said about what you teach. I teach my sons the same thing. You have to know how to take care of yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You can't take care of any other person if you don't know how to take care of yourself. Like when my sons first started to come live with us, they would sit in the house literally all day. If me and my wife went out for like an hour, 2 hours, and they could be in the house hungry, they would sit in the house and they would just be hungry. And, you know, one of the things that I said to them is like, y'all have all this food in here. Why do you just didn't prepare something?
Did you knock that out?
Right? How?
You knocked that out, right? Hold on, man. Go keep talking. I'm listening.
Okay. But that's one of the things that I was saying to them. Y'all have been sitting in his house all day. Why didn't you think to prepare something for yourself? Well, it's because they hadn't been taught, right? Mm-hmm. And when they moved with me, I had the expectation that their mother had prepared them and taught these things already. But lo and behold, she hadn't, right? She was buying them quick, and it's a place for that. Don't get me wrong. But she was buying them stuff like corn dogs or hot dogs and stuff like that. But when I was a kid, my mother and my father was teaching me how to actually prepare whole meals, right? To actually prepare full course dinners, right? And so when I'm saying that we have to think about the long game. I'm not thinking about this generation now. I feel like Gen X and millennials, you know what I'm saying? We're in the parenting and grandparenting phase right now, right? We supposed to be, we are supposed to be teaching our children how to choose better mates, right? So that you're 100% correct, BG Method, is that the fact of the matter is a lot of times people come into these families and they're broken. We need to learn that it's okay to seek help for being broken, all right? Mm-hmm. That's completely fine for us to go and seek help. The other thing that we need to do, man, is that we need to tear down a lot of these institutions that's preying on our community and misleading our community, right? We should be and I know this takes some time, but we should be trying to start our own political party. We should be trying to start our own political party.
That's difficult.
I agree. I 100% concur with you that it's difficult because
first of all, politics. First of all, how do we see them? Like, okay, I'm gonna just ask everybody. Everybody's up here, all of us, and anybody listening. Anybody just listening, chilling. You tell me. You tell us. You just share. And I start with you, KO. You know, what's your viewpoint of what a politician should be?
My viewpoint of what my ideal viewpoint of what a politician should be. Mm-hmm. Or what it actually is that I'm seeing?
No, not what it is.
Okay.
We know what it is.
A politician is supposed to be a representative of the people in that particular area of that demographic. Mm-hmm. Politicians are supposed to just be a liaison or the avatar for the people. You're the mouthpiece. Mm-hmm. But you are the person that's carrying out the wheel towards the governing body or in the government for us. Right? You're our representative in the government. That's what's supposed to be happening, right? And a politician isn't somebody that's supposed to sell his people out for money. A politician knows that it's for the greater good of the community. If I want my community to be better, then I have to fight for these things, or I have to stand on my square, so to speak. I don't want to double talk, but that's my view of a politician.
Okay.
I pretty much second that. I think a politician should be the voice in the rooms where the public mass does has no voice. Like you are a spokesperson or the representative of a group of people that you are elected to be their voice, to be their fighter in the ring of change.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you off, Ghost, but this is what I wanted to add because my thoughts kind of came back to me when I was the root word of politician. If you take is people who create policies. You're supposed to create policies that enable your community to grow and prosper. That's what a politician is supposed to be, right? That's why it's important that the politicians are representative of their communities.
Okay.
That's what I got to say.
All right. So I'm gonna take you a little bit deeper before I even answer, because I want to get the most out of you as far as me asking the question. What? Okay, you just said what your definition of a politician is. Both of you guys just said that. So, what are the prereqs, or what a politician should have as far as education, knowledge base, so on and so forth? What do they need to have to serve as a public servant between city politician up to national representative or senator? We're leaving president out of it.
For one, a prerequisite to me, you need to come from that community.
Yeah.
That's one of the prerequisites. Two, you should be very well versed in the local politics before you even be thought about going to the state and federal level, right? Because the most effective change happens at the local level, right? Or, like I said, it's about the communities. Families build communities, and community builds towns and cities, right? So you shouldn't be able to just skip. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be able to just go from, you woke up one day and decide you're going to run from state senate. You know what I'm saying? You haven't served your time in the community. You ain't experienced enough time in the danger room for you to be in full-fledged missions to where your policies that you're going to pass is going to affect the world, like going to affect the country standing in the world at large. Like, no, that's unacceptable. Politicians, it shouldn't be about how long your pocket is. I think that education matters? Yes, I feel like you should not be ignorant to certain things. You should know, okay, like most people don't know about even local politics, let alone politics of the country, and definitely not politicians of the world. You remember they asked Sarah Palin what made her a foreign policy expert on Russia, her foreign policy. She talking about because I could see Russia from my house.
I do remember that.
And I'm just looking like, wow, you really opened your mouth and said that. You know what I'm saying? No, would you? Okay, let's take the situation with the UK and the Russia. And I'm not trying to get off on a tangent, but when you take that situation with the Ukraine and Russia, most people just look at Russia bad, Ukraine good. That's it. That's all they know. We know about Putin and how Putin's been, but they don't really know why Russia is invading Ukraine. They don't know the nitty gritty. They don't even know why the USSR broke up. They don't even know how all these things happened. They don't know how Russia is such they know about Russia being a communist country, but they don't understand what the little nuances of that situation is. If you have to understand all of that and understand, like, basically Russia is trying to do what the USSR used to do back in the day by using proxy states to affect the world policy let me say it like this right here. Basically what's going on, Russia is trying to gain access to certain waters when it comes to Ukraine, right? Russia also has its hand in the Bosnia-Serbia conflict right now. They're stirring things back up in Bosnia and Kosovo and the Baltic regions. Why? Because you remember the Iron Curtain Do y'all remember that term, the Iron Curtain? That wall that really separated the East from the West? Like, you remember a physical manifestation of that was Germany, East Germany and West Germany, East Berlin, West Berlin. Y'all remember that, right? The Berlin Wall that came down.
Yeah.
Well, most people don't really know about what was really happening for this situation to, go the way it go, for the breakup of the USSR. You got to understand all of those things. And when you get up on the world stage and you're making policies like what Putin right now has basically threatened the world with nuclear war. Most people ain't been paying attention to that, right? So for me, you need to be educated. You need to know what's going on before we put you out there and you be like Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump did not understand world politics at all. Donald Trump was not qualified to be in office, period. Now, was he a person of the people? Whether you agree with him or not, yes, he was a person of the people. He was not an establishment candidate, much like Bernie Sanders was not an establishment candidate. You get what I'm saying? So, but Trump wasn't qualified to be in office. That's why he created certain policies that was affecting the world at large. It was like a concerted effort to get Trump out of office. Everybody wanted him gone. Even world leaders wanted him gone, except Putin. Putin didn't want him gone. You know what I'm saying? But so I think education is highly, highly important. You ain't got to have a doctorate or anything, but you need to be versed and you need to have a good command of the knowledge that is needed for you to stand on the world stage. You have to come up through the ranks. You got to pay your dues, basically. That's all I got to say.
What about you, G?
Ghost, you're muted, man. Go, hello. You probably went off and did
I took a
something.
bathroom break.
Yeah.
But hey, look, I'm gonna say this. For instance, fixing that and what I think a politician should be. First of all, I don't particularly think you have to have a particular type of education. Myself, but there's some other things, and it's part of the reason I'm saying is it's really hard because we're gonna have so many different viewpoints. My viewpoint is it's a lot of things. I think the government in general doesn't work because look, we are run by rich people. Rich people sit in these political seats. People who of means who don't understand you or me or anybody that's in the lower to middle class. They don't understand this. They talk about the middle class in politics as foreign. It's foreign to them. It's totally foreign because none of them are in the middle class. You know what I'm saying? Not even the upper middle class. None of them even in the upper middle class for the most part. And if you start there, if you stay in politics long enough, you won't be there. So here's what I always say. I don't think you need a particular education. There's a couple things you need. You need to be able to communicate, and you need to be able to understand. If you can comprehend what's going on around you, and you can communicate your ideas well, you can serve as a politician almost at any level outside of president. Okay. But I think all that stuff settles itself. So what I'm saying is, look, I could run for city council, right? I might even be able to run for, some state positions, but I couldn't run for a national position. I'm not versed well enough for that yet. But those other ones, I probably could run for. And all I'm saying is the people would decide that. So say I decide to represent my district or my county, right? They're going to pick. They're going to listen to what I got to say, and they're going to pick. What I don't like about politics right now and is that we have career politicians. I understand that Mr. Smith goes to Washington or goes to the state capitol. He hops out of his factory job, whatever job he does, and say, look, These things need to be need to change. And everybody in my neighborhood and in my district has been talking about it. So I'm going to run. I'm going to throw my hat in so I can try to fix it for my peoples. Throws his hat in, doesn't get it fixed, tries his hardest. But he got a lot of support because they see he was trying to fix things. It didn't happen. He realized he needed to go to the next step. So he goes to the state. Say, yeah, I'm running for state government. He still doesn't get it fixed. But he got some more good things to happen for him. And the people still say, hey, we need you to just go ahead and just run for state senator. You know, go run national. Okay. I'm gonna do it. So then he runs for that. All right, so now by this time, let's say it's been 12 to 18 years. He should be done. And it's only 12 to 18 years if he went from each level to get up to that level. You see what I'm saying? That's my idea of the way it should work. You know, and in putting a party together, people got to see kind of the same things, and people don't always see the same things. I mean, it's just like you got 5 different type of Democrats, you got 5 different type of Republicans, you have a couple of different type of independents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they call it, oh, he's a moderate, he's a conservative, he's a blah blah blah, he's a liberal, he's a this that. You know what I'm saying? And then they put the Democrat or Republican on the end. You know what I mean? You got people that just switch. I can't remember which one it was. There was one of those senators that was a Democrat. They went to independent, but when he went to independent, really he was just saying, "I'm really a Republican." I can't remember his name right now.
I think it was it Lieberman?
Lieberman. That's exactly who I'm. That's exactly. I'm glad you said that. That's who I was talking about. That's what Lieberman did. I'm a Democrat, hardcore Democrat. Then I go to independent, and if you start noticing some of the things he was doing, there's more Republican in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't got a problem with that because, like I told you, I'm none of that. But all I'm saying is, you know, you lying to people that putting these labels on to try to get us to vote for you, and look how many terms you served. All these guys, Lindsey Graham, you know, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, all these people, Chuck Schumer, all of them. Look how many terms they've served.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally ridiculous. So that's one of the things that's wrong with our government. And then we won't let another party in. So again, if everybody that wields the power to help anything like that happen, that's black, man, they already thrown in with the other sides.
They
On both
assimilated.
sides of the aisle. They assimilated. So
see,
it's really hard to get you. The best we've been able to do is get a black caucus. But look at who. That's the other part. And I don't want to seem like I am
still
complaining.
assimilated. They still assimilated.
They're assimilated too. I'm complaining. I know I'm complaining. So I'm gonna state that I'm complaining. But we got, look at the NAACP. I remember I joined the NAACP years and years ago. I haven't paid dues in a long time. I remember Ben Jealous used to send me emails and everything. I mean, we actually talked. You know, but then I started looking into the books and started paying attention to stuff. Man, these dudes, they supported Donald Trump a long time ago. Gave him like some type of award some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Donald Trump says the things he says about, oh, black people love me. That's why he say that. And don't get me wrong, some black people do. Because if you do for Donald Trump and you black, he will do for you. That's not to say he won't. But he still does believe in white supremacy. Not just over black people. I hate Latinos more than blacks, but still, whatever. You know, but all I'm saying is, again, for us to build that, one, we got to come to one accord. Two, it's got to be independent. It can't be like what you said. It can't be assimilated. It's got to be totally independent. It can't be. That's part of the reason when we're trying to do stuff, we always telling white people like, "Hey, look, I know you want to help, but we got this. We need to do this." That's why. That's why we're saying that. That's why the smart people are saying that we got this, because every time y'all get in it, it get messed up and we get assimilated because we think that you can help us more than we can help us, and we got to do it on our own.
I agree, and I would say this, and this is going to sound very, very, very what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just gonna flat out say it. I don't have no faith in the black community at all. And part of the reason why is because we are assimilated, right? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we talked about, integration. I think that when we integrated, we gave up on actually trying to be a community, right? And for me, for those men, okay, I think the black community as a whole is dead. And I think that if you're going to actually have an African American community, have a black community, for one, the social contract between black men and black women, it needs to be, we need to redo that thing. Number one. Number two, we have to come up under one umbrella as one tribe, and we need to have a set of standards and morals and value systems and a culture that isn't something out of rebellion. Like I don't have a problem with hip hop culture as far as, hip hop was born out of rebellion, pushback, right? But even that's been co-opted, right? Now you had people like, your KRS ones, a lot of them cats back in the days that would actually speaking the truth about stuff. Them dudes ain't around no more, right? And them dudes wasn't getting a whole lot of airtime because they
KRS
were
just dropped the album, just so you know.
Just
okay.
He just dropped the album on the 22nd.
That's not okay. I got what you're saying, but that's
go ahead,
that's
man, go ahead.
What I'm saying is they're not pushed to the forefront at all, right? Because what they're talking about is empowerment of black people, and no one's going to let that come out. So I don't personally feel like there's any hope for the African American community. I think it's dead in its current state. Now, if you want a revival of it, for one, the social contract between black men and black women needs to be renegotiated. I think that we need to come up with a true culture, and we need to come up under one umbrella as one tribe, just like all the other groups of immigrants in this country do. Because make no mistake about it, I'm not trying to say that that we were brought here against our will. Bottom line. So I personally think if you're going to affect change, you got to start from there. But that starts with the men. The men have to
We got a leadership problem, though, man. I mean, when I say we got a leadership problem, okay. First of all, we haven't done a good job of protecting our leaders anyway. So that every time we've had some good ones, they get killed, man. I mean, it's a broken record. I hate to say it's a broken record, but it really is. Mm-hmm. They get killed. The good ones get killed. Then you have a generation of people. You got the Jesse Jackson. Nobody gonna follow Jesse Jackson after MLK, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's who came next was Jesse Jackson. Mm-hmm. Come on, for real. So I'm not getting to Jesse Jackson, but anyway, but anyway, I'm just saying. Look, we have a dearth of leadership, and then the people who step forward, they always found out to be charlatans. That's why they let them keep going. You know what I'm saying? We used to get a lot of our black leaders from the church, right? But look what the black church is doing. And I don't want to get into that conversation. That's another long.
No, we need to get into that one too.
Not tonight, man.
Because that's a part of the problem. That's a major part of the problem.
That'd be another conversation. That's got to be probably a separate thing because I know that thing can go on for hours. But all I'm saying is, would you look at the black church and you look at the leaders that come out of it, even the ones that you might have some modicum of respect for, right? Even the ones you do that don't just talk financial glory and all that stuff that the Creflo Dollars of the world and all that stuff. Not those guys, but even the other ones that's not that bad. What are they? How are they affecting? Where are they leading us to? Is your question. That's what I always ask. Like, where you leading me to? If I was to say, okay, I'm gonna follow you, where you leading me? You're not leading me nowhere. I'm in the same place. I could do this on my own, man.
Right.
And that's where you got a lot of brothers who got the strength and the balls, you know what I'm saying, and just the the conviction to stick to stuff, they looking around. They're like, "You ain't lead me nowhere. I'll do this on my own. I'm not. I'm
Hold
not
on.
gonna come over there and do this with you."
Oh, we got a comment. We got two rather from Jennifer Wheeler. She says, "There it is." I think that she was talking about when I said that I don't have no faith in the black community. I think that's what she was making a comment on, because the next comment says, let me put up on the screen. It says, I think a majority of the black community has given up, but because they don't know what is realistic to expect, even baby steps are steps. Okay, I'm gonna address this comment, Miss Jennifer. Baby steps are steps. You're correct. Baby steps are steps. But when you take a step and they chop your foot off, what's the point of keep stepping? If I'm trying to step in a certain direction and I keep getting the rug pulled up from up under me, not by white people but by my own people, then why would I have faith in the black community? Men, what BG Method was saying a second ago, you have men, you have most of our leaders have been taken away, and we've been having these little puppets that's been in leadership positions in the black community. Now all they're trying to do is they enrich their pockets and get fat off people
Exactly.
by deceiving people.
Right.
Right?
It's
That's all
too
they're
much
trying to
of
do.
that.
It's too much of that.
It
And
just degrades trust.
right. I had a pastor say to me, we were talking about me making decisions in my home. Right now, the fact of the matter is, I'm the head of my house. It doesn't mean I don't respect my wife. I respect my wife. Doesn't mean I don't go to my wife and get her viewpoint and things about things, because I will. But if it comes down to it, I'm going to make the decision, and I'm not going to feel like I need to be in agreement with her if I know what decision I'm going to make that's right for my family. I am a anomaly within the African American community as black men that not only believe that, but that would exercise that type of authority in our community. But that's one of the reasons why our community is in shambles, because there is no black male leadership within our community. Every time black men try to step up and lead, and it's not just the women, because the women can't do it on their own. It's a lot of these guys that know they're okay. If BG Method and his wife is in church and his wife want to tithe in church, and he looks at her and like, hey, I get the fact that you want to give them $200, but we got bills to pay. She might be a little disgruntled about it, but she gonna put that $200 back in her purse, right? Because that's what men do. We're pragmatic. We're gonna think about, how A plus B equals C. Well, when you remove the covering and the male leadership and the male authority and the male protection from the home, then you leave the home wide open to be preyed upon. And women aren't designed to see threats the way that the women are designed to nurture. We're designed to protect. All right. So when you remove the real leadership, notice when they killed the Malcolms, they killed the Martins, they killed the Fred Hamptons, and they took all the really political leaders out of the community. This is what happens now. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I went on a little tangent about that. I apologize.
Nah, man. You good. I mean, you know what? Look, she said baby steps is steps. We need to move forward. That is true as best we can. I don't. That's why I stated that. Yeah, I am complaining. You know what I'm saying? In some points, I'm complaining. Because I'm kind of sick of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we do need to find a way to move forward. We do need to find a way to raise up some leaders or people we believe in that's really trying to go somewhere, trying to take us somewhere. But as I say, look, right now, okay, so here's the thing about the church. I meant to say this the other day, and I might have said this to you already, Katie, on our own time, but I know I said it to somebody. It might have been another friend of mine. You look at church leadership, and you got a bunch of David Koreshes and Jim Joneses. That's straight up and down. That stuff took effect in a lot of black leaders, but not just black churches. Even what's that white dude down in Texas? They wouldn't let nobody in the Houston church.
Oh, Joel
Osteen. All those dudes, they take a page out of these guys' book saying, just follow me and believe in what I'm saying and let me be the head of your household and your life.
Mm-hmm.
And people think they're supposed to throw in with that. And I'm sorry, it's a lot of us out there, we ain't trying to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that does leave us where we kind of separated, a little bit divided. You know what I mean? We got to come together and have conversations, and then maybe we can do better. But all I'm saying is, what we got in the church, that ain't that's not cutting it. I'm sorry, it's not cutting. I believe I'm a believer. You know what I mean? There's a lot of us out here, we believers. You know, we love the Lord, we believe in Jesus Christ, we follow that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm a man, you know, I'm the head of my household. I take the reins of leadership in what my family does. You know, and I'm not saying I won't follow another person.
I won't.
But when I'm saying I won't, when I say no, I'm not saying that, because in the end, there's points where you do have to follow. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, I make the decision on that. I hold those reins. So even though I may be saying, "Hey, you up there, you know, you're the mouthpiece," even though I'm giving you that power, and I can take it back just as fast. You know, I gave it to you. It ain't just. It's not that you forced me. I did not submit. Those are two different things. I never submit. You know, I don't do that. So, you know, all I'm saying is, if like I said again, if Brother Malcolm, if Fred Hampton was around, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'd be down with that cause.
Right.
And I'd be like, yeah, I'm down with this. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you too. I'm checking you all the time. So if I've said I'm down with your cause, and I'm coming and I'm helping out, and boom, 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 this, that, and the other, and I see you start slipping off the wayside, start saying crazy, you know, Jim Jones-isms, nah, man, we leaving. You know what I'm saying? You know, we going the other way. I ain't down with that. But like I said again, right now, people think you just supposed to just give it. You just supposed to give it up. You know what I'm saying? You're just supposed to follow just because I said a couple of words in Christ. And if it ain't that, then you got the other ones is, you know, that just take advantage of broke down situations like the Umar Johnsons of the world. You know, and so on and so forth, and all these people like that. Who out there is really got, you know, really not in it for themselves? Because the example we're supposed to take is from Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was not in it for himself. He was never in it for himself. You know, and even though Martin and Malcolm had they shortcomings, they actually were not in it for themselves.
They sure were not.
Fred Hampton was not in it for himself. Shoot, Bobby Steels was not in it for himself. Bobby Steels and Huey Newton weren't in it for themselves. Those brothers weren't in it for themselves. They was trying to help the community. Seriously, and they was trying to educate the community. So until we see that, man, I really can't mess with these dudes, man. I'm not saying I don't everybody don't have the charisma or the ability to have a bunch of people jump behind them. You know what I'm saying? You may have ideas and you may want to do it, but everybody's not going to follow you. You ain't going to be able to get that groundswell of support all the time. But we need to have somebody that's really for the people that want to do that in our community in order for us to start changing some of these things and make these baby steps stick. Because right now, I say we taking baby steps. We take one baby step forward, one baby step back. So then we turn around, we look around, we in the same place.
Let me tell you what baby steps look like to me. Baby steps to me look like 95%, 5%. And here's what I mean by that. 95%, and maybe that's a little a high number, but 95% of the African American community are not going to come together and they're not going to follow you. And you have to live with that. You have to just say, you know, we're going to roll with who we got. But the other 5% can really start to be the epicenter of a tribe or a change for the community. That's what I feel like baby steps look like. You have to forget the fact that most people are not going to follow you. And you have to just start to branch out and do things on your own. Because you're right, BG Method. There ain't no leadership out here. And when I was talking about I ain't going to follow nobody, I'm not finna follow these quote unquote pastors because the way that they're up in this church is completely ungodly and not biblical anyway. You ain't supposed to be one man hovering above anybody.
They clowns. They
They're
clowns.
clowns.
Bums and
Exactly.
clowns. And I'm just, I hate to say that, man. It's probably it's some storefront preacher out there, storefront pastor out there is probably a good person. You know what I mean? But most of them, they look at it as a business. And that's
Right.
what you gotta catch on to that. They look at it as a business. These dudes are like, this is a business and it's successful. And I mean, what, a few years ago, probably about 8 or 9 years back, I don't know how many years ago it was, when they had that show and they were showing all the pastors riding around their
Oh,
Bentleys and
the
stuff.
pastors of Hollywood or something like that.
And get the F out of here, man. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I
I
remember
mean,
that.
them dudes, man. Look, see, them the kind of dudes, man. That's the kind of people that keep you away from church. Those are the kind of people they blocking your blessings because they trying to take them off, and they think, oh, you hating because look, I'm sorry. When you're a leader,
Mm-hmm.
all of us have served under leaders and have served in leadership positions. Let me ask you something. Do you let any of the people that you are leading, do you eat before they do?
No,
Right?
you make
Do
sure
you do you
everybody is good.
do you make sure you have a place to sleep before they do?
No,
A
you,
good leader
you
won't.
no, you make sure everybody. Your job. Well, I say this all the time. Yes, the Most High God gave us as men at the head of our house the authority, right? But He also gave us the responsibility. They go hand in hand. You, in order for you to be able to carry out the responsibilities that I've given you, you
Hmm.
have to have the authority to do so, right? So you have to make the decisions, but you are supposed to be facilitating for everyone else. It's just like it's cold outside. It's 13 degrees outside, and I'm the only one in the house with the coat. But
Hmm.
my kids don't have jackets. No, they're gonna have the jacket because I need to make sure they're taken care of. I'm gonna take care of myself. That's part of being that protector, right? I don't want to go off on a tangent again, team.
Nah, but look, it's just that's part of the reason I said, and part of the reason I use leader outside of the family uh perspective is because it's easy. It's easy. People going to do that. They'll do that naturally unless they just are a horrible parent, horrible, father, horrible husband, whatever. But I'm just saying. But we teach those values in our military. We
Mm-hmm.
teach those values. That is the way you're supposed to lead. I mean, I don't care if you get a brand new soldier. You don't know him. You're gonna make sure he eat before you eat.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just what we do. Is what we taught. But yet we trying to follow leaders in the church where they make sure they eat before you eat.
I'm telling you.
Where the pastor say, I'm getting a big piece of chicken at the pastor's
Pacification is
at
just
the
all
pastor's
right.
anniversary.
Yeah.
It's the pastor's anniversary, man. I want my check and I want my big piece of chicken and I want that seat right there with the tall back sitting in the middle of the table as if I'm Jesus Christ. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hold up. You the leader? Man, you ain't nah. You ain't. I'm not following you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because honestly, if I follow you for too long, then I'm gonna get in trouble.
Mm.
For real. Because I ain't going for it. Because
Man,
I'm not
these
gonna
cats,
have my wife serving you. I tell you
man,
that much.
these cats out here meeting with folks' wives behind closed doors, and the husband no one there. He trying to, man, that junk is just, man, you
It's
mess
it's
around and get your face caved in doing some stuff like that.
it's crazy. But see, look, like I said, man, go read them letters, man. And you know this, man. I'm not I'm I'm not as well versed as most. But one thing I do know, you read those letters that Paul wrote to those churches.
Mm-hmm.
And people got to understand, Paul is not talking to the people outside the church.
Mm-mm.
Paul talking to the people in the church.
Yeah,
And
cause
some of
go
these
ahead.
pastors right now need to read them letters.
But the thing about it is, here's the reason why, and I know we ain't trying to go too far in this when it comes to the church. But the reason why the church is so jacked up is because they've made a religion out of a culture, right? And I'm not saying that Yahshua HaMashiach, he is the savior. You know what I'm saying? He's Yahshua HaMashiach. He died for our sins so we can, be reconnected back to the Most High God. But when you don't understand the context of the Bible, you get a watered down version. Anybody, even if you don't drink soda on a regular basis, when you drink soda, you expecting it for that carbonated, strong carbonated taste. You don't want to drink taste like you drinking like flavored water. You don't want to do that. And that is really what the difference is, man. These cats, they have no idea what the Word of God says. Like, I had a conversation with a brother. We was talking about polygamy, right? Mm-hmm. And he was shocked that I said that polygamy was not a sin. He was shocked. He was like, "Man, the Bible says."
Yeah, show us where.
Huh?
Show us where it says in the Bible there's a sin.
It's you won't find it.
You can't find it.
You cannot find it. And God Himself told David, "If you wanted more wives, you need to only ask. I'd have gave you more." You know what I'm saying? And
let me. Not it's same subject. I just want to.
No, go ahead.
I just want to. It was a conversation I had with some cats at work the other day, and I said about that very thing we talking about. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Look, man," I said, "I wouldn't suggest it." I said, "Because it ain't. Right. It's not something that's easy to do.
It's not.
Most of us can't handle the one we got.
Right.
But or we can only handle the one we got. But here's something else about it. And this is the truth. Just look at science. It's hard. It's harder to make a male child than it is to make a female child.
Right.
Okay. So the birth rate has more females in it than males. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be more females anyway than males anyway. That's number one.
Right.
Then you start going into males. Males don't live as long as females. Mm-hmm. Males also go to more wars than females, so more of them die there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is already, you look at the world population, there's more women than men.
It's 7-1 around the world.
So there's women they ain't gonna have a man if we just go 1-to-1. That's just
them just numbers, man.
It's just the truth.
That's just numbers, right?
It's just the truth. So and like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying look. Hey man, it take us.
It take exception to cat, man.
You look and see, and people think, you and I had this conversation. I'm not gonna go into the other finer parts of that conversation. I don't need to say all of that, but I will say this. You're supposed to provide the other woman with the same thing you provide this woman with.
Yep.
And you know how hard that is,
man.
So,
you ain't even got to the managing personalities part.
Yeah, man, you got to give all the same things. So look, most of us, we only want one woman, and that's the truth. That's why you have dudes who, if they doing something stupid, they not giving the other woman the same thing. She ain't. She getting. She getting a watered down version of what
she getting trinkets. Right.
She
getting trinkets and
because you just don't have the energy to do all that.
Right, but here's the thing, just to kind of bring it back and going off what you said, though. I said that to the cat. I'm like, because you guys are not actually teaching the word what the word really is, because you don't really understand the culture in which the Hebrew people were. Now, if you really want to have a better understanding, go to the continent, go to the Middle East. Mm-hmm. You will see it in the flesh, right? Even if you don't agree with Islam is very Old Testament, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you don't, when you go to Africa is Old and New Testament. Them dudes got multiple wives over there, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that go into play when it comes to the Bible that people are not talking about, because if you talk about it, tithes rob the community of valuable income. They rob families of. Do you know how much if a person is making $5,000 a month, and to give somebody 500 of that for the entire year, that's $6,000 that you just gave up out your house.
Well, it's taxes,
right?
So it's a double tax.
But the thing about it is, team, when they tithing, It's not just they're not tithing from their net; they're tithing from their gross.
That's what I'm saying.
You
It's
know what I'm
double
saying?
taxing. You tithing from before you gave the government they cut. You giving up this cut. So
Right,
yeah, you giving the 10% off of that. Yeah, I know.
right. You know what I'm saying? And you talking about? Do you realize what you can do with $6,000 in a year? And that's just one person's income. You know, let's say you making five and your wife making three. Now you talking about 70. What is that? 84. No, that's $9,600. If
Mm-hmm.
y'all tithing eight, that's almost 10 grand that you just gave to this church when you could have went and bought some land for that. You know what I'm
Shoot, let's not
saying?
even talk about American churches with black churches with love offering and the building fund.
Yeah,
Get
building
out of
fund,
here, man.
building fund been going for like little kids. Still ain't got no new building.
Like, man,
Right.
y'all
It's
get building fund.
and it's so crazy because I'm like when you talk about this stuff, like you don't the black church is the sacred cow. The black church is the sacred cow that's really the black hole. You know, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
People don't,
Mm-hmm.
but it drains black people of just logical thinking. Just logical thinking. We go against our own interest all the time. We vote against our own interest all the time. Just like people was talking about, you know, people voted for Donald Trump and all this other stuff. I'm like, look, if you're a businessman, right? I don't give a care if you black, white, Jew, or Gentile.
That's who you should have voted for.
That's who you should have voted for,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't agree with the alphabet community at all, but I understand why they vote liberal. Because these people are talking about, hey, I'm going to make sure that, you know, you can be with whoever you want to be with. You can sleep whatever you want to sleep. It don't matter if you turn 8. I'm going to make sure that you can cut that thing off. If you want to, you know, put a
But
build a cat on.
But that's you know that's exactly what I try to preach to my own family. I'm talking about my extended family. I tell them, look, don't go out here and say I'm a Democrat. Don't go out here and say I'm a Republican. Don't go out here and say anything. Don't pay them dues neither. Don't pay nothing. You know what I'm saying? You go out there, do your research, and vote for who's going to do for you. Who's going to do for you? You know what I'm saying? That's people got mad at Ice Cube for what he said. Ice Cube was right.
Right.
Ice Cube was right. I agree with him 100%. He said, you know, they're like, oh, you going for Donald Trump? No, I'm going for who's going to give me the best deal. Black people been voting for people just because of this. You know, we thought we were we thought we were down with the Republicans because Lincoln freed the slaves and all this stuff. You know, blah 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 blah. Man, go look at some of the things Lincoln wrote. He didn't believe he was equals.
No, he
He
didn't.
didn't believe that at all.
You know what
Nah.
I'm saying?
That was just a wave.
He
He
didn't.
just rode the wave, and that's the where
Yeah.
we ended
Right.
up.
And for about 60 years, we voted Republican because of it. And then when it flipped and we started voting Democrat, yeah, the Democrats been trying to hold on to us. But there's a lot of horrible Democrats out there too. You know what I mean? So
I
stop
was
doing that.
the Democrats. Here's the thing about the Democrats, and this is what I say when it comes to that, and this is why I think black people need to educate themselves, right? And I'm not just talking about, you know, being college educated. I'm talking about to be in the know, to not to be ignorant about a particular subject matter, because people will trick you, right? The Bible says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. You know, the Democrats, most people don't even know what Marxism is. They don't know what socialism is. So they hear
Oh yeah, them keywords. I know, man.
they don't even know what that means, but really and truly, the Democrats talk a lot of socialistic policies. They don't implement them because they know that it's impossible. But they talk and say, we're going to have somebody share the wealth. Like when they say, we're going to make the wealthiest people pay for this, you're talking, in a lot of regards, it's completely against capitalism.
Well, here's the thing about capitalism, socialism, blah blah blah. Okay, so socialism, what you want to call it, socialist policy or communist policy, but welfare is that, whichever one you want to say.
Right.
But here's the thing about communism. Okay, well, I'm gonna describe something. So you go to church, okay, and you pay tithes, and you do this stuff. You bring stuff to the storehouse, right? Church supposedly is holding on to that stuff, and they're paying their bills, but they also have that in case you, as a member, need help. Okay, so Charlie's car breaks down. He can't make it to work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he don't have no way to get no new car, so he comes to the church and say, "Hey, look, I need some help." And the church say,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, yeah, we're gonna go into the storehouse if they're doing things the right way. We're gonna go in the
Mm-hmm.
storehouse. We're gonna pull out this change, and we're gonna help you repair that car so you can get to work." Right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been a good steward. We know you good. Blah 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 blah, and they take care of the business. Done. Boom. That is communism,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't realize that the root word of communism is community.
Right.
That's what communism is about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about the community. Yet there's not usually going to be anybody that's supposed to be have way too much, but everybody got some. And then if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have enough, the group, the community will provide for you. That's what
Right.
communism is.
Mm-hmm.
you know and people that go to church who are hardcore business people, hardcore capitalists, don't realize that they always doing something that's communist in nature,
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And
It's
then
not a it's not an
it's
evil
not a bad
thing.
word.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of okay. When you look in the Bible is both. It's about capitalism and it's about communism. When you
Mm-hmm.
look at it, it's a mixture of both of them because just the very institution of tithing in the biblical days was communism, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were certain people that the Levites didn't get an inheritance, but then it wasn't just about the Levites. It was about the widows. It was about the fatherless. It was about the strangers. It was about the poor. God made sure they had things they were taken care of too. That's why it was important for people to be tithing 10% of their fruit of the trees and seed of the land, and a tenth that fell up under the shepherd rod. You know what I'm saying? When we talked about, because I put tithing in perspective to people quite regularly. I'm like, no, when God was saying, they say that scripture when a man robbed God, I'm like, it's because they actually was robbing God. That's why he was saying that to him. It wasn't something metaphorical that he was
Yeah,
saying.
it
You
was.
know, like they were supposed to, like God told them they ain't supposed to differentiate between, the 10th one, whether it was a good or bad, whether they seen it was good or bad, it belonged to the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, if you do that, then both of them belong to me. If you try to switch one for the other one, he said, okay, both are mine. They were switching one for the other one and keeping them the good ones for themselves. God was like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
you owe me double. So that's where that whole will a man rob God come from, tithing and offering, because you know the, when you read the law, when you read the Levitical law, I mean, when you read the Mosaic law, when you read it, you understand it. If you read the law, you study the law, you understand the purpose of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of people don't understand the purpose of Christ. The purpose of Christ wasn't to come down and null and void the law. It was to come down because the law kept being broken. So he was like, okay, God was like, in order for me to save y'all, let me give y'all grace.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the law is God's nature. So sin is just transgression of his law. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't say, well, we don't supposed to observe God's law anymore. That's a fallacy, but I know we can get off on that. My bad. I apologize. That's my wheelhouse. So I can go on it all day.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is that you have all these churches and stuff and all these, not just churches, you got all these businesses and stuff coming and preying upon, what I'm saying, the broken black community. Okay, it's like, let's decimate the black community and let's go off and I tell you what, Africa's a perfect example. The African American community to me is a microcosm of what's going on in Africa right now, because it's still the exact same thing. We're gonna put these little, we're just gonna put a bunch of figureheads up so that we can really control. They're gonna be reliant upon us, so
Mm-hmm.
we can come in and get your resources at a rate that's favorable to us. And not Nigeria is a oil rich country. Nigeria is such an oil rich country. They have more oil than the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they can't even refine their own oil, so they have to send their oil out and get charged 30-something% for their oil to come back in their own country.
But see, that's the thing of when you talk about that, you know, that's things where we letting those things happen. I mean, we letting those things happen. That's the only way you could put it. Look, I okay, my government does not fall under yours. right? So, or let's say, or let's do it a little bit more close home. My household don't fall under yours, right? You know, my household is my household. Yours is yours. You know, so if I have a product in my household, say for instance, writing a book, I want to get that book published, whatever. I need to get it edited first. You know, and I can work on the editing myself. I could go to you and get the editing. What I'm saying is, I produce the book, so I'm gonna make sure that I get paid the most.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If I do pay you for the editing, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be a smaller percentage. It's not gonna be the majority is still gonna be mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I have the how should I say? I have the leeway to whether I want to go to an outside company to help me, you being that outside company, or I want to do the editing in house.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just bring editing into my company,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and make a company that also edits books and all that stuff. I can edit for other people. That's what they have to do, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not a Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is,
I technically am.
yeah, but those countries, all of our countries over in Africa, you know what I mean, they still let other white countries or European countries, I say white, European countries kind of lord and rule over them. You know
Mm-hmm.
that there's several countries in Africa, and I saw this probably last year, that still pay a tax to some countries in Europe, even though it's past, we're not in colonial time anymore, but they still pay a tax.
Mm-hmm. Um.
That's why
That's
Haiti's so poor.
that's outrageous.
What you call? What's his name?
That's
Ah,
enough to
man.
go
They.
over. To me, that's enough to go to war for.
That's enough to go to war. And here they talking about you got 1,000 Nigerian. Now you got Nigerian men saying they going to the Ukraine to fight against Russia, and guess what the Ukraine said? Y'all gonna have to pay for y'all way to get here.
Boy, check it out. Just like the Ukrainians wasn't letting the Africans that was in the country out. They was
Before the
what?
Ukrainians did.
Yeah, the Ukrainians were leaving their own country before the Africans was. That's again outrageous.
Right.
And that's why I said when we was talking about that thing, I said world nigga law. you know what I'm saying? You know, so
Yeah. But like I said, I think the African American community is just a microcosm of the continent of Africa, man. The mindset that black people have worldwide. White supremacy is worldwide. I hope people really understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a mindset. Like when you hear them talking about the Ukraine, right? And how Russia invaded the Ukraine, everybody came down and condemned Russia, except China. China and North Korea are probably they like, nah, we ain't gonna say nothing.
Well,
We
China
gonna be
don't care.
quiet.
China don't care. As long as you ain't messing with our stuff, we don't care.
We don't care.
Because they
Okay.
don't like Russia, but they
Right.
don't care about that.
But Russia is a necessary evil for China.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how China see Russia. You know what I'm saying? Because Russia is competition for China. A lot of people don't realize that, but man, the continent of Africa is heating up when it comes to Chinese and Russian influence. You know
Well,
what I mean?
the Chinese been in it. They knew to go over there and start business over there a while ago. They were
Right.
smart. Say, look,
Mm-hmm.
they got resources that we can use. Let's get in business with these folks, and now offer them a good deal, and they always gonna want to work with us.
Right. Resources in exchange for infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of people say, well, man, they shouldn't have did that. I'm like, well, what choice did they have, man? Like the the West has been pillaging Africa since since before that, 1400s. Been pillaging Africa, right? Crazy thing about it is Africa ain't nowhere near bankrupt, but they've been pillaging it for that long, right?
Because endless resources there.
Endless resources. But you're talking about this, it was a concerted effort to keep Africa at a point to where it doesn't have functional governments, right? Because if you have a functional government, that government's going to start to stand up and say, hey, you can't come in here no more. Like when Ghana told it, who did Ghana tell? It was one of those, was it Belgium?
Probably with Belgium. The Belgians and the French was doing a lot of stuff over in that
Ghana,
area.
Ghana told them flat out, y'all tripping. Y'all can't come back in here and do that stuff no more. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And they looking at Ghana because he said this in an actual conference, like a world conference. They was like, nah, you can't. Y'all on some other stuff, and then you seen they put the camera on the Belgium people and the Belgium leadership, and they was like, yeah, whatever, because they know that if Belgium decided to invade Ghana, there ain't too many Europeans gonna be up in arms about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
But
They
that's when
they
you,
already know that,
but that's when you would see the truth. Because
right?
I mean, okay, so the truth of white supremacy. We can talk about white supremacy in Africa and things we recognize all forever. But I'll throw another one at you that's just a little bit lesser known, and it's the deal with the United States. So, white supremacy was at work when we got into Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Ho- Hawaii had a kingdom, a kingdom. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it was a kingdom. So the white people that came over there from the United States was the Dole people. People ended up being
Mm-hmm.
Dole. They wanted the land in Hawaii to do it as they please. They
Mm-hmm.
want to take all the pineapples and sell them, blah blah blah. They wanted to control all that land.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're not a citizen or a subject of that kingdom at all. You don't
Mm-hmm.
own anything there. They don't have to sell you anything there.
Mm-hmm.
But they was over there just talking mad cash trash.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we gonna do this and we gonna do that. They didn't have the authority of the United States government to say they was gonna do this stuff and do that stuff, but they had them so shook that they was able to revolt. They killed some Hawaiians doing it
Mm-hmm.
and got control of that land.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last queen, they um I can't remember her. I cannot remember her name. She got a crazy name. But the last queen,
Why you gotta say you got a crazy name?
well, it's one of those. I mean, the one I always come to my mind is because I like it is King Kamehameha is their famous king. I think he was the last king, but the last monarch was a queen, and I can't remember her name because they got those names with a bunch of vowels in them.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, anyhow,
Mm-hmm.
anyhow, the last queen, man, the only thing she could do when she was basically giving up her kingdom, say, hey, by law, for us to become a territory of the United States, by law, Hawaiians are to be able to have their own schools that white people can't go to. We are to have control of the land from here on out. We get first dibs on the land, on buying land and building houses on it, so on and so forth. And she got that for a time. Well, while I was stationed in Hawaii, bro, they had protests because a white kid wanted to go to one of those Hawaiian schools. And they won, right?
That's crazy.
And I'm just like, that's the last thing the people ask for. It's the last thing they asked for. Now, some people want to say on the other side, well, that's racism. No, you took their land from jump. Dole owns and has cornered the pineapple market because of Hawaii. They just own it. It's just theirs. It's not Hawaiian people. It's white people. Does that make sense? Don't that sound familiar to some stuff in Africa?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But that's white supremacy at work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it does. That's what it creates. These Dole people got generational wealth. Their family ain't never gonna have to work.
Mm.
But yet you got people in Hawaii, they don't own none of that.
Most of the Hawaiian people are kind of poor, aren't they?
Yeah, well, here go the other part. The people you see on commercials that's Hawaiian, those are not the natives.
Right.
The native Hawaiians, the Polynesian, Hawaiian because they're Polynesian by race.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, they don't look like what they like to show you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of poor people in Hawaii. A lot of rough areas in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
If you were stationed there, you know what I mean. Hawaii was a rough area. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just crazy how how far-reaching and widespread white supremacy is, and people always think you just talk about straight racism. That's what they think.
Right.
White supremacy, racism. No, man, there's some people that's white supremacists. They ain't racist,
Right.
and it may seem weird, but all they want to do is control some stuff and take some stuff. It ain't
Right.
about no racism necessarily, you know. But they'll control your land. They will control, you know, they will come into a country in Africa and try to tell the Africans what they can and can't do. I mean, just like the South Africans, I know that you know, the native South Africans now run the country, but it still bugs me that you got the white people that really believe they African.
Yeah, they really believe they're African and they believe they have the rights to the land because their ancestors got the land like
And, and,
120 years
and I'm
ago.
like,
Like,
man, y'all, I'm not from that country, so I ain't, you know, whatever. I ain't gonna fight you about it, but that's crazy. You
I
know,
have
so,
access that to about that. She'll probably tell me what it really is. I ask her about that when I get a chance. But I'm getting ready to bring the stream to a close, man. You guys got any closing thoughts?
No, not really. We've leapfrogged and jumped around a whole bunch of places.
well,
Discussed
we talked about,
a
yeah,
lot of stuff.
we touched a lot of things, and we were talking about who really benefits. Like I said, I gave my simple answer, and that's why I had to give my simple answer early because I knew it would be something where we would jump around a lot. But
Well, the subject matter at hand, honest to God, like for me, I'd be expecting us to jump around a lot. I'm just being frank when we
yeah,
talking about stuff. I mean, all that kind of goes because when you're having an organic conversation, it's going to flow that way,
yeah,
in my
yeah. I mean,
opinion.
you can't. It's going to jump. I mean, because there's a lot of things that affect the black community. I do like to I like to
Lord have
believe
mercy.
that when we come together, we have conversations that not only do we give food for thought for each other and anybody's listening, but we also got, you know, we get to think about some answers, you know, and just, I mean, I don't have them. I'm not saying I got them. I don't think any one person has all the answers, you know, but one thing is that sometimes we got to know that there's a problem that we got to fix. And I'm just going to leave tonight's conversation thinking about how we got to fix our leadership problem, you know, about, you know, leadership in the black community and and really picking good ones who really are about the people. Because like I said, the culture that I come from professionally is that you make sure your people who you are leading are taken care of before you are. And somehow in our churches, and not just our churches, but even in business in the country, the presidency, the politics, they all think that they're supposed to be thought of first before they think of the people that they're supposed to be leading. They're all supposed to be leaders. So really, they don't deserve us to follow them.
Yeah,
They really don't.
I agree. Supposed to lead from the front. If you're
For
not
sure.
willing to do it, you shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't tell someone else to do it.
Yep. For sure.
But I apologize for I didn't say much. You guys were speaking on some stuff that I'm just opinionated about. I don't have a whole lot of facts and names about. So I was like, well, I feel this way. I feel that way. It's not I. So I usually try to bow out unless asked for my opinion. And no
Well, the
harm,
thing
no foul.
about it is this. I mean, yeah, we're talking about a lot of facts, but it's still our opinions. So, um,
Hey, G, look at it this way. It's just be honest. Being honest, me. I have some facts. I don't have all of them.
I get
right.
So being I don't have all of them, you always enlighten me on something to look at, to add to, you know, my knowledge base so I can have a better answer. That's all I'm looking for is better answers. You know, my answers are okay, but you know, I'm looking for better answers to better myself. So man, I offer that opinion, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
you. All right. I'll be a little
All
bit more
right.
vocal next time.
All right, then, man. Y'all have a blessed night. I don't have much I want to say. I just really enjoyed the conversation. I kind of started off slow. Um, because I started off slow because really I don't feel like there's really a big solution to fix the African American community. So I just started speaking for what I was passionate about. So
Interesting.
I don't feel, in my personal opinion, like it's going to change. I just think that people, everybody's came to pillage African American community about something, and I just think that people in the community need to decide, okay, what they want to do and just do it. And you're not going to be able to take everybody. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
Well,
Me and Brian or me and BG we're anomalies when it comes to being the head of our household. Even when their men are in the home, they're still not the head of their household. They more like figureheads. So that's just my opinion, man. I don't have nothing else to say.
well, man, I mean, you talk about uh, we just got to prepare the next generation. It's not gonna get fixed. You right, but somebody might emerge. It's just like I wanted to get into when
I
you
pray
you
so.
kind of touched on the hip hop thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get into that a second, but it got late, and then we got talking about something else. But I got a whole theory. I think I told you about it before about what happened with hip hop, because what we listen to now is less hip hop and more just rap music.
Right.
But I think I have some theories on that, because honestly, that's where some of our leaders went. You said some of their names.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the leaders went there. I mean, they tried to leave from that position, and they had their way of getting into that and messing that up. But
Yeah, that's why I said I felt like it had been co-opted. I think they started pulling more back of a message and started pushing towards self-destruction. You know,
well,
you know.
well,
Well,
but
go ahead.
just pin that, and it's a lot of subjects that have come out of just things we talk about. So, pin that, and later on down the line, maybe come back to it. We I have some collective thoughts on that. But like I said, man, we just got to try to make it better for the next group of us coming up, and keep their minds right. What I'm saying, keep their focus and keep their eyes on the prize. It's hard to do. It's
Right.
difficult. I mean, these young cats, man. I got a couple of youngsters. They smart. They are smart. This is not a lack of intelligence at all, but sometimes it is a lack of recognizing what's going on around them. Recognizing the small nuances of things, the seeds. The seeds of dissent and the seeds of deception that are put in front of them that they don't realize are being put there.
Right.
So,
Well, all right, good people. I'm going to this KDO. I'm signing off. Y'all be blessed.
All right.
too, man.
All right, then.